let's start with page 5. Notice first you have an example, and then we'll do number 1 together. Then down at the bottom you have another example, and we'll do 1 together, number 4. That leaves you only 4 left to do on the whole page yourself. So I'm not going to go over the example because you can do that on your own, but I will go over the 2 we're doing together. Instead of showing a remainder, we're going to have a precise answer that is in decimal form. 27 divided by 4. 4 does not go into 2. 4 goes into 27 6 times. So I'll put the 6 on top of the 7. 6 times 4 is 24. Bring down 3. I've got a remainder. So in order to keep going and make my quotient precise, I will put a decimal and a 0. Bring down the 0. 30. 4 goes into 30 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. Subtract, bring down, add another 0. They don't give you much space. You will need 2 zeros as well. Okay then. Bring down that 0. 4 goes into 25 times. 5 times 4 is 20. No remainder. And then here's my decimal. So my answer is 6 and 75/100ths. Now to check, I will take my quotient 6 and 75/100ths and I will multiply that times 4. If I'm correct, my final answer should be 27. So here we go, 6 and 75/100ths times 4. 20, 28, 29, 30. Got 2 digits to the right, 2 digits to the right. My answer is 27. So that is how I know that my division is correct. Now, I would like for you to check yours. I usually don't have you check them. I usually actually delete that word in them, but I think that it would be good practice for you all to check these. Also so that you get in the habit of using the rule with decimals and multiplication. Let's come down to number 4. We have 3 divided by 2. Notice there are 2 very different types of fractions. The example, that's a proper fraction, 1/4, which is smaller than 1. Whereas this one is an improper fraction. There's a bigger number on top. So that'll play into my quotient. The quotient is smaller than 1, whereas here it will be bigger than 1. So 3 divided by 2. I'm going to write that down. 3 divided by 2, just like that. 2 goes into 3 1 time. So I'm going to put a decimal and a 0. Bring down the 0. 2 goes into 10. Oh, 5 times. That was quick. 10, 0. All right, so put my decimal up in my quotient. My answer is 1 and 5/10. So I'll check my work, multiply these together. 1 and 5/10 times 2. 2 times 5 is 10. 2, 3. Got 1 digit to the right. Oh, 3 is my answer. So I'm correct. 3 1/2 equals 1 and 5/10. There. Got my answer. See how they put their answer here? I put my answer here. I want you to do that because it's got an equal sign. That's what they want you to do. So now let's go on to page 6. 6 is repeating decimals. Look very carefully. You see that you've got the example of 2 divided by 3, 2/3. When you divide it out, 2 divided by 3, you will get 6 and 6 and 6 and 6 and 6 and 6 forever and ever 6. And you don't want to just keep going forever because you already know that it's not going to stop. And then in 1/9, 1 divided by 9 is similar in that you have 1 that goes on forever and ever and ever. So if you're trying to divide until you have no remainder, it won't happen with these repeating decimals. So what you do is the digits that are repeating, you stick a line over. You've seen this before. So instead of writing 0.6666666 forever, you just write 0.6 and then put a line over the 6 because that's repeating. Instead of writing 0.11111, you just put 0.1 and draw a line over the 1 to show that the 1 repeats over and over again. So let's do, we'll do number 3 together. So you'll do numbers 1 and 2 on your own. 11 divided by 9. 11 divided by 9, just like that. 9 goes into 11 one time. I subtract 2. I'm going to put a decimal 0. 9 goes into 20 2 times. Times 9 is 18. 2. 0. 9 goes into 22 times. Aha! It's 18. All right. Bring down the 0. 9 goes into 22 times. So I see what's repeating. So I put in my decimal in my answer. It's 1.222222222 forever. So the 1's not repeating, so I'm going to put 1 and then the point. The 2 is what repeats, so I'll put the line over just the 2. So you'll do the same with numbers 1 and 2. Now, on to page 7. All 9 problems on this page have a decimal in the divisor. You never ever divide with the decimal in the divisor. Get rid of it. What I like to do is rewrite the problem. So in order to get rid of the decimal, I'm going to have to multiply this by 10. So I'll move the decimal over to make it 8. And then in 67, we know the decimal's right here. So when I move the decimal over 1, I add a 0. So I end up with 670 divided by 8. Instead of 8/10 into 67, I have 8 into 670. I just multiplied both sides by 10. 8 goes into 67. 8 times 8 is 64. 3 goes into 30. 3 times. 3 times 8 is 24. 6. Let's see. I'm going to have to put a decimal here. Bring down the 0. 8 goes into 60. 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. 4. Bring down the 4. Ah, finally. 8 goes into 45 times. There we go. Put my decimal right here. My quotient is 83 and 75/100. There we go. Okay. Down to number 6. All right, so I've got to move the decimal over 2 places because it's 800. So I'm going to move the decimal over 2 places, 1, 2. So that means I move it over 2 places here. 1, 2. So that gives me 6,700 divided by 8. It's so much easier if you rewrite the whole thing. Otherwise, you've got all these lines and it gets confusing. So, all right, 6,700 divided by 8. All right, so 8 goes into 67 8 times. 64, 3, 0, 8 times 3 is 24. Seems vaguely familiar. Bring down this 0. Goes into 60. 7 times 56. So I've run out of digits. So I'm going to put my decimal and another 0. Bring down the 0. 8 goes into 45 times. Very similar. Put my decimal up in my quotient. I have 837 and 5/10. So this is 10 bigger than that. 10 times bigger. All right, now finally down here, I think I noticed a trend in all these. We've got 67 divided by 8/10, divided by 8/100, and divided by 8,000. No wonder. So this one I'm moving the decimal over 3 places. 1, 2, 3. So if my decimal starts here, it's going to be 1, 2, 3. So that gives me 67,000 divided by 8. I bet it's going to be that times 10. 8 goes into 67 8 times. 8 times 8 is 64. 8 goes times 3 is 24. 6, bring down the second 0. 8 times 7 is 56. Bring down the third 0. 8 times 5 is 40. I have no decimals, so my final quotient is 8,375. So you do the others. I recommend that you move the decimals over and then you rewrite the problem. I promise you, you will make fewer mistakes that way. Go ahead and do the rest.